Hello and welcome to Procontation Point's video Snark. I read bad books so that you don't have to. I'm continuing my read-through of A Touch of Darkness by Scarlet St. Clair. Not the first video, go check out the others. Links are posted below. Chapter 7. Hades takes her directly to his bedroom, which, geez, bad girl dinner first. He then heals her, first her ribs and then an injury in her shoulder. She asks why it is that he has dead in his river and is surprised that he still keeps people in there. So she knows that there were historically people in the river, and yet she still went swimming in it anyway. What kind of an idiot is she? But Hades says that he doesn't keep people trapped who aren't buried with money, and the ones who are in the river are holed out from back when he did. He then asks that she take off her dress, seeing as how she's soaked, and gives her a robe. It's short and silky, and she guesses that it isn't his. She refuses, since she doesn't want to wear something that an old lover of his had owned. But Hades, it's either this or nothing at all, Persephone. You wouldn't. What? Undress you? Happily, and with far more enthusiasm than you realize, my lady. This isn't a man. This is a bunch of red flags sewn into the shape of a person. But she changes, and Hades tells her to rest. When she wakes, she finds Hades watching her. He grabs the covers and drew them away. As she slept, the robe he had given her loosened, exposing a sheath of white skin between her breasts. She held it closed, her cheeks flushed. There is literally nothing okay with any of this. I'm not getting the vibe that he tried anything, but still, Hades is creepy. She asks how long that she was out, and he says hours. She says that she should get home, but Hades insists that while she's there, she should tour his kingdom. They go out onto the balcony, and Persephone is taken by how otherworldly beautiful that it is there. They go downstairs to a garden, and Persephone gets angry at him, says that there is already so much beauty there, so why should he need her help? He then makes all of the flowers disappear and says that none of it is real, it's all just an illusion. And she would be the only way to create life down there. Persephone is impressed by his control in order to make flowers appear all over the underworld. However, as they continue along, she thinks about the greenhouse her mother often locked her inside of, and can't help but compare that to the underworld. Which, yes, one controlling jerkwad keeping you prisoner is pretty much the same as the next after a while, especially because this book has done little to establish that Hades and Persephone are actually in love. Hades tells her that she's free to come and go as she wants, since he knows that she must be eager to get started. Persephone contemplates the dirt and ponders what her next move should be. She then asks how she'll get in, with the implication that she doesn't want to be near the river again. Hades randomly kisses her, and not just in the friendly way either. I'm talking intense, don't let your mother find out you're reading this kind of stuff. He flies her over to a wall, and she wraps her legs around his waist. When he pulls away, he tells her that all she has to do is go inside of his club and snap her fingers and she'll be in the underworld. And Persephone realizes that he hadn't kissed her because he wanted to get into her pants, but because that's apparently how you bestow a favor upon somebody. Sure, okay. Persephone complains about the way he bestows favors, but he comments that she didn't seem to mind. He then teleports her to her room, where she's surprised to see that it's 5 a.m. He warns her not to bring mortals into his realm and tells her to stay away from Adonis. He says that he's simply asking her to stay away from him when she protests. You have a choice, he said, but if you choose him, I will fetch you, and I might not let you leave the underworld. There are literally no words in any language to express how creepy that this is. Chapter 8. The next day, Persephone can't stop thinking about how Hades had told her to stay away from Adonis. She wonders why, wonders if he doesn't know that telling people not to do something only makes them want to do it even more. Your lips are bruised, Luxus said. Persephone covered her mouth with her fingers. She tried to cover the discoloration with foundation and lipstick. Who did you kiss? Maybe you've been kissing the wrong kinds of people, but my lips have never been discolored, even after an intense makeout session. Did Hades kiss her, or did he headbutt her in the mouth? Despite how much that Persephone had enjoyed Hades' kiss, she has to remind herself that he is the enemy, that he will literally imprison her if she fails at the task. Luxa then calls Persephone out on not having come home until 5 that morning. She says that she's been talking with Adonis when she heard Persephone come in. The book then pauses everything to tell us that Lux's past boyfriend had been unfaithful towards her, and it almost broke her. She's hesitant about starting a new relationship, but Persephone can't help but note how Luxa seems taken with Adonis. Persephone then heads off to the library where she finds a book with an entry about Hades, his history, and his symbols. The entire thing reads like the author literally just copy-pasted from an actual entry about Hades. It does not make for good reading. Persephone writes down all of the flowers that are symbols of the underworld, which are actually quite a few, and then looks up some info about how to grow those. And for some reason, despite the fact that I don't actually want to see it, we aren't given step-by-step instructions on how to care for the flowers. I'm honestly kind of disappointed. She tries to go buy some of them, but the florist says that he doesn't carry symbols of Hades, meaning the Narcissus. But apparently the shop still has plenty of other seeds, so Persephone goes to Nevernight and then the underworld with her supplies. There she plants the seeds she bought, but she forgot to bring water, which seems like a bizarre thing to forget when you're going to plant flowers. So she decides to just climb a wall to look for a source of water. Yes, that's right. The girl who decided to take a swim in the Styx decided that the best way for her to find water is to literally climb a wall and look for it. Why is she so dumb? Anyway, she sees a river not too far away and decides that water is water, which, oh honey, no. This is probably why flowers die at the sight of you. I'm not much of a gardener, but at least I know better than to water flowers with underworld river water. She leaves the walled area and starts to walk, but comes across a really big red ball. The owner of the ball shows up and, you guessed it, Cerberus! Except that instead of having 3 heads, there are just 3 dogs. She throws the ball for them and they go chasing after it. Persephone continues onto the river, but somebody stops her and warns her not to draw a river from the water, which, again, no Sherlock. Persephone realizes that this is another goddess and then realizes that it's Hecate. Hecate knows who she is, because reasons. Probably because she's close with Hades, but this is never explained. I mean, it's presumed because she's hanging out in the underworld, but like, who actually knows? She goes on to say that people who touch the water have their memories wiped and is upset that Hades couldn't be bothered to tell her. Especially because she says that Hades was so upset after Persephone swam across the Styx. I'm just going to assume that all of the characters share 1 IQ point and it's never their day to have it. They go back to the garden after a bit where Persephone shows her what little work that she's already done. Hecate shows Persephone a fountain that's closer to where the seeds are planted and then a place for her to store her gardening equipment. The 2 women then go walking until they reach a giant chasm that is Asphodel. There are a bunch of houses down there and Hecate takes Persephone down to the little town. Down there, Hades' place looks an awful lot like Nevernight with the way it looms over everything. Hecate also has to explain that the souls might not need anything, but it brings them comfort to be surrounded by familiar things, such as houses, and to do familiar things, like have market days. A bunch of the souls greet Hecate and she introduces Persephone. Several of them weave flowers into Persephone's hair. Hecate and Persephone continue on and they find Hades throwing the ball for his dog. He's randomly shirtless, so we naturally have to pause everything to describe his skin and the way his muscles are. Ugh. Hecate then chides Hades for not having warned Persephone about the river. She then says that she has to go and leaves. Hades says that she dishes out punishment for those in Tartarus, but he refuses to tell Persephone where Tartarus is, with the implication that she's the perfect combo of being stupid and having 0 self-preservation skills that she'd go wandering into it. And after what Persephone did in this chapter, I 100% agree with him. Hades asks Persephone if she enjoys spending time in Asphodel. She agrees and says that she's surprised that everybody seems so happy, especially considering his opinion about mortals. He says that the dead are different. Persephone tries to ask him some more personal questions, but Hades cuts her off and reminds her that she hadn't wanted to ask him anything. This was because the last time they tried that, she ended up getting into that bunk contract with him, but he promises that he's not going to trick her into any more contracts, and he'll even let her pick her game. She agrees to this, and they leave. Thanks for listening to my book Snark on YouTube. New videos are up every Monday, but stick around because I sometimes drop random videos on other days too. Just as a reminder, even if you can't financially support me, there are other ways to support me. The first is watching this video as well as all my other videos. It's also important to like and subscribe. Finally, you can share this video with all of your friends so that they can help as well. If you're already caught up with all of my videos, you can go to Tumblr for my main book Snarks, always free and updated every morning. And if you've already read all of my main Snarks, you can find even more Snark on my Patreon. You can access it for $1 a month. Plus, you also get early access to my main Tumblr Snark Special thanks to Dawn, Phoebe, and Nikki for supporting me on Patreon already. If you want to hear your name in my video next week, either support me on Patreon or make a one-time donation. Do you like my Snark so much that you want me to snark your writing? I do that too. For just $3 per chapter, I will tell you how awful that your writing is. But not to worry if you feel like you couldn't take the criticism. I also offer regular book editing as well. $3 for every 5,000 words. You can contact me on any of my social media platforms if you have further questions. If you want to read some of the things that I've written, you can purchase my works on Amazon. I have a slew of erotic short stories and now 2 full-length novels. I also sometimes run flash sales on my stories, and if you don't follow me on any social media, you might want to do so just so you can know when I might be offering more things for free. Links for everything will be posted below. See you next week, guys. She says that she should get home, but he insists that while she's there, she should... When he pulls away, he tells...